Hey guys, welcome back to the tier list for this month. Obviously we have Tearlament come out, and everyone who's not playing in silver or gold knows it and has probably run into it a few times right now. We will ask the question whether this is the strongest deck and how the other decks compare to it. I've changed the categories a bit as I am right now playing with my secondary account. I play Flu on the Reese and I want to bring it up to Diamond to deliver some quality content to you where I can show off the Flu on the Reese tagged matchup against the Tearlaments. And yeah, so I have played in silver and gold because I was ranked down to silver, and I have noticed that there are a lot of decks that you can easily play in silver and gold because the competition there is like not really that impressive. The people are playing strange decks, not really put together well decks, so you can basically bring a lot of decks to silver and gold and be cool with it, be fine with it. But then comes Platinum, Diamond, Diamond 1 and Best Deck. Obviously we will put the decks in the category which I think they belong. So with a Platinum deck you can play in Platinum successfully, with a Diamond deck in Diamond, and these are decks that can reach Diamond 1, and I want to put one deck as best deck for the month, you could say. And yeah, I would say let's just get the elephant out of the room. I don't know if you would say it like this, but let's just start with Tearlaments and put it where it belongs. I think it's the best deck right now. I think no big surprise here that was expected, and of course there were some bans that were like pretty good bans. I think the deck got hit quite well. I think it will probably need another hit in the future to tune it down a bit, but I also think if Konami does it right now, because they already have the information from the TCG and OCG where the deck is dead right now, they can make it so this deck does not die but is still playable and a good, like, I don't know, tier 1, tier 2 deck. Because I don't know about you guys, but I really like the deck. It's complicated, you have to think, it's like you have to adapt to every situation. It's a control deck and I love these types of decks. I would be very sad if we will lose this in a few months and it's basically unplayable. Also, it's super expensive, and I just wrote this in my comments. Crafting this deck is a bit of a risk because we don't know what they will do with this deck, and it is expensive, let me tell you that. Other than that, I have to say this is the best deck in the room for sure, and in the Diamond ranks you will see that you either play Tearlament or you play a really tagged deck against Tearlaments. This is mostly like Exosister and Flu on the Reese, but there are also other decks that can perform quite well, but they need some sort of tag. If you're not in Diamond, then I think it's not that like oppressive. The deck isn't that oppressive. You can, like, without a problem play in Platinum, Silver and Gold and don't face it all the time, though in Platinum it already starts. I would say this is not that bad for the meta right now, but I also see Konami changing the current meta in maybe a month or maybe 2 months, because I think then the player base will be fed up with this. But for right now, this is the best deck, a super good control deck that outcontrols every other deck, and yeah, not a surprise here. Let's look at the next deck. This is Cyberdragon. I think this is a pretty safe silver and gold deck. So that's the thing, like when I played in silver and gold, like silver is, there are a lot of bots, like just bots that I don't know what they are doing there. I don't know. I don't understand it, because you only can like profit if you win, and as a bot, is it like your opponent surrenders or something? I don't get it. But as it's the case, I think silver is a good environment to learn the game against some real opponents and some bot opponents. Like in a perfect world there wouldn't be any bots, but that's fine. And I still think that with Cyberdragon you can perform in gold, though it will become a bit harder there. Dragonmaid, same category. You can buy the structure deck, it's pretty cheap. Buy 3 structure deck, go to Master Meta and pick up a deck list, and I think you can definitely climb through the gold ranks, and if you have some like lucky streaks with the deck, maybe hit Platinum, but I think that's where the ceiling of the deck is. Unfortunately for XYZ, for the Dragon Buster deck, it got a really hard hit when the now I'm blanking on the name, when the Union Carrier was hit. That's unfortunate because they got support in January by unbanning the Dragon Buster thing here on the picture. But right now, if you put this, so the idea with the decks in these category is, if you put a good list together, you can basically easy climb through these ranks or be in these ranks, okay? That's the idea behind it, silver, gold, okay? So you basically need a good list, so you cannot put like random cards together and call it a Cyber Dragon deck and then hope that you can win with it. You will still need to build a deck that works, but then you can go and win. We have the Knight deck, which Phantom Knight, yeah, which performed quite good a few months ago in one of a tournament, but overall, do I put this in? I think if you have a good build here, and if you can play the deck, if you can manage the deck, if you have mastered the deck, then you can play in Platinum, maybe even reach Diamond. But I don't think this at this moment is a Diamond 1 deck, because in Diamond 1 you will mainly face Tearlaments, and I don't think we have a positive win record against this. So I would say this is a Platinum deck. And that's the thing I have to say, is that Tearlaments, the one thing it does to the meta is that, an example for in Diamond 1, before Tearlament, I would say there were more decks that can reach Diamond 1 easily. I think they are a little bit more a little bit less decks that can do it that easily. So that's one thing where you could say, okay, Tearlaments negatively impact the meta. Then we have Scareclaw, not a bad deck, and I think you can play with a good Scareclaw list in Platinum. They have a really strong field spell. Maybe you put some other engine in. I think you can reach Platinum and then maybe run around in Platinum, maybe hit Diamond, but I think this is a solid Platinum deck. Then we have Sprite, talking here about the pure Sprite version. I think this is an easy Diamond 1 deck. You still can reach Diamond 1 with this. You then would maybe put some counters in this, maybe run a few DD Crows, maybe even run Shifter. Of course, you as Sprite cannot perfectly play under Shifter, but that's alright, because your Tearlament opponents will suffer even more from this. So I think there are easier decks to go Diamond 1 with right now, but this is still one of the strongest decks in the game. And this also is one of the safest decks in the game, I would say. So maybe they will get hit on the ban list sometimes. Maybe a blue will get hit, I don't know. We will get future support in 2 more important cards right here. But this deck, till this day in the TCG, because it was not destroyed like Tearlament was, Tearlament is too strong, Sprite is not, is still one of the best decks. So it's still there, it still works. And investing in this core, like, unfortunately you can not invest in it anymore if you haven't already, because the pack was switched to the Tearlament pack, so you can no longer get this pack. But getting the core and playing it, this will go into a lot of deck archetypes in the future. This is super safe, and you can reach Diamond 1 with this. Then we have Eldritch. I would say, let's put it here for a moment, talk about this for a moment. I think, yeah, for sure, but for sure, with an Eldritch deck, you can, I think you can reach Diamond. Is this able to play in Diamond on a good basis? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I would play it in Platinum. I think this is a place where this can run around and have a great time, be a good deck. A strong deck in Platinum, still a strong deck which recently had some unbans on the list, which is good. And if you tag it against Tearlaments a bit with a few traps that hinder Tearlaments, there is, for example, these Soul Drain is the name of the card. It's like Skill Drain, but there cannot be any cards activated in the graveyard. Of course, keep that in mind if you like really heavily tag one of these decks against Tearlaments. Then you can make the argument that you can still reach Diamond 1, I think, but we are talking more about the base course here. So an Eldritch deck, which is totally tagged against Tearlaments, you will have problems in this category here, because there are no Tearlaments, maybe even at the start of Diamond. But then I think you will win your games, and you could then reach Diamond 1 if you really know how to pilot this deck and heavily tag it against Tearlaments. Then we have Runic, which got hit pretty hard. I think it's hard to say where this deck belongs right now. This also has the ability to tag good against Tearlaments, because there are a lot of trap slots available for this. You could... No, you can't, right? Though now that I'm thinking about this, it's quite hard, because you need your graveyard, because your Runic cards go to the graveyard. And then your Tearlament opponent can shuffle it back. So I would say this is also a Platinum deck. I think this is in theory stronger, so that would be a diamond deck, but in this current meta with Tearlaments, with the shufflers, with you needing the graveyard, they needing the graveyard, and you are not able to tech against them because every tech against them is a tech against yourself, I would say you will not have an easy, comfortable time in Diamond, but you can still go into Platinum and be fine. You can, I guess, still reach Diamond, but in Diamond, this will become pretty hard. And then we have the at Ignister deck, which the Mathmech variant is like the better deck of. So let's just talk about them in a package. Mathmech is better. At Ignister, you can put them together, and it's also good, but I think the pure Mathmech variant is the stronger one. This is still a strong deck. Of course, the shufflers hurt the deck because your strongest play is the Super Factorial, which you need 3 of your Mathmechs in graveyard. If he shuffles that back, then that is really bad. When the Bestials come, this will still this will get worse even. But after that, if Tearlament then Tearlament leaves the format, and then the Bestials will no longer be that important because the Bestials are basically DD Crow countering the Tearlament deck. Then this deck will once again be one of the best decks. So you can invest in this and not be sorry about it. This is also quite cheap if you have the extra deck cards like Access Code Talker, IP Masquerena, which are staples, by the way. So how or where would I put this? I would put this in Diamond. Don't get me wrong here. You can reach Diamond 1 with this, but I think it could be quite hard because this should not be an easy matchup, and you will mostly face Tearlament as a matchup. So you can reach Diamond 1 with this, but I would not put this in the same category as I've put Sprite. And for the At Ignister variant, I think it's fine here in Platinum. You definitely can reach Diamond 1, but I think once you are there, the strategy will struggle a bit. We have Emancipator, who recently got new support with the Vernusylphs, or however they are called, and also in the last pack where this little Aqua monster came out. So Emancipator was always a strong deck, is still a strong deck. Obviously you need your graveyard, you need it. You can also play the Ishizu cards, though that's one good thing. If your deck can play the Ishizu cards and benefit from it, then that's quite good because this already counters Tearlament. So I would say Emancipator is a Diamond deck. You can reach Diamond 1 with this, but not as easy with a deck as like Sprite. Then we have Branded Despia, where you can also play a branded Tearlament version. I would say in this current meta, Branded Despia, Tearlament version, Ishizu branded version, it's quite good. I think it's on par with the Sprite deck when it comes to easily reaching Diamond 1. It's like never super easy to reach Diamond 1, but it's not the hardest challenge either. So I think it's right up here. The good thing is that Tearlament decks are not really playing Ash Blossom, and Ash Blossom is just killing this deck like there's no tomorrow. So I really love this deck. I love this deck. This was my first deck I crafted when I started in December, so I started Master Duel in December. I love this deck. I think the artworks are awesome, but Ash Blossom just destroys this deck. We need the support that we will get in probably a month or two. Ecclesia, which is also then able to fusion summon. So if you get Ash, then you can use your Ecclesia, but more to that in the future. So I think right now it's at a good spot. The Tearlament meta helps it quite a bit, and you can also combine this with Tearlament. So then we have Trap Tricks. I have this deck in real life. This is the first deck I bought when I went back into the tournament scene. Unfortunately, there is a lot of support missing for this deck right now, but when the support comes, this is quite a strong deck. I would say you can easily go through Silver and Gold and play somewhere in Platinum, though I would say this is more of one of the weaker decks that we can see here. Then Altergeist, I would never count this annoying deck out. A trap heavy deck, an annoying deck. I think you can go reach Platinum because people will surrender. No, just kidding. Like, I hate this deck. Yeah, that was not a joke. So let's put it here. It's a Platinum deck. You can go and play in Platinum with it, but I think when you come to Diamond, this will get tough. And then we have one of my favorite decks, the Labyrinth deck, which I hope will get support in the future. I know it will get support in the future, but I hope the future support will come soon. Unfortunately, skill drain got hit to 1. I mean, for the game as a whole, this is nice. For the Labyrinth strategy, this is like really bad. Really bad. Skill drain is one of the most important cards. If you tech this deck a bit against Tearlaments, this is one of the strongest counters to Tearlaments, I would say, because there are a lot of traps you can use and recycle via your lovely Labyrinth. For example, Dimensional Barrier, which like forbids your opponent from fusion summoning and also negates every effect of every fusion monster on the field. You can every round recycle it with this here, and then you also have the Soul Drain, which I talked about when I talked about, I think, Eldritch, which has the effect that effects in the graveyard cannot be activated, and the Soul Drain is searchable via the Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So this deck, if you tech it right against Tearlaments, which is fine because the core of the Labyrinth deck is not a lot of cards. It's like the lovely Labyrinth, 3 times the trap. You maybe use one of the Lords or 2 of the Lords, then you use triple Ariana, so you have like 12 cards or something, and the rest of the cards you can switch out depending on the meta. That is the thing that's super cool about this deck. You can use the traps that are good for the current meta. So I would say tech this against Tearlaments, and this is a Diamond 1 reach deck. Do not tech it against Tearlaments. Then I would say it's somewhere here around in the lower diamond category. But this can be one of the most effective counters and is also quite a cheap deck because you do not really need to extra deck. Of course, it's nice to have it, and you can you can upgrade the deck via the extra deck, but you don't need it. Then we have heroes. I like heroes, but unfortunately it's super expensive. I would say this is, yeah, if you have the good thing is you have the how is this guy called, the Dark Bane or the Bane? No, not the Bane guy, the Dark Law, the one that if it's up on the field it banishes every card. So that is already a tech that is basically always in the deck, so it's not really a tech, it's like in the main deck. I would say it's hard. Is it like plat or is it like diamond worthy deck? Because obviously making the Dark Law is pretty impactful. I would just go a bit low. I would say this is a platinum deck. Of course you can reach diamond, and you can also reach diamond one if you play this very, very good and get lucky on your coin flips, etc. But this is tough. This is really tough, because the thing is, if I put this here, then I basically need to say, okay, this is nearly as good as MavMech, and that's not the case. Let's put it here. If we want to sort this, which we can, we don't need to do this, but that would be more up here, like stuff like this would be more down, this would be more up here, and yeah, but we don't want to sort this now. This takes a lot of time. But yeah, let's put it here. I think that's quite all right. Then we have Spiral. It's okay. If you have a Spiral deck, which is super, super expensive, this is a platinum deck. You can reach diamond with it, but I think once you hit a diamond, it gets hard. Dynamorphia, for sure, a platinum deck. You can reach platinum, but this is very inconsistent, so I do not think that you can easily reach diamond or have a good time when you reach diamond. This is supposed to be, by the way, the Sun Avalon, the Rika Sun Avalon deck, for those of you who are confused with the picture. I think Rika Sun Avalon is a really good deck. I think it's a diamond worthy deck. It can build a very impressive board, very strong board with a lot of negates. If you go first against Tearlament and you can build this board, that's super strong. If you go second, you might face some problems. This for sure is on the lower strength rank here when it comes to diamond, but still a really good deck. Then we have Sword Soul, and I saw this funny tech version of Sword Soul that won the tournament, where basically only Ishizu Tearlaments were in, and it had like, I don't know, Dimensional Fissure and the Shifters and a lot of stuff, and I think it cut out on the Tenny package, because the Tenny package obviously needs the graveyard, but the Sword Soul cards don't need it that much. I think all in all, not teched against Tearlaments, this is a diamond deck. You will be able to play with this in diamond. If you grind through, you will be able to reach diamond 1 for sure. This is one of the strongest decks still. That is just the case. If you tech it against Tearlaments, even better. Then I think this is one of the best decks, especially teched against Tearlaments. I think this deck allows it because you can, as I already said, get a minus on the Tenny package and then go for some graveyard negation stuff. But the pure version, let's rank it here. We have Nordic, nothing to say here. It's a silver gold deck. Of course, you can reach plat and you also can reach diamond, but I think in terms of how consistent it is, it's more here in the silver gold category. Salamangreat is a worse cyber strategy than is MavMech or Ad Ignister. I would say you can reach platinum, but then you will hover around somewhere in the bottom, I guess. I think it's pretty hard to reach diamond with this deck. It had its times where once it was the best deck and it won the World Championship. That is long ago and it's not that strong anymore. Then we have Dragon Link, which is always like a strong deck. Problem being is that the shufflers really hurt this deck by shuffling the resources back into the deck. I would say, and don't get me wrong, you can reach Diamond 1, you can reach Diamond with this and maybe even Diamond 1, especially if you tech a bit. But I would say this is like upper Platinum. Of course, you will reach Diamond 1 if you can play Diamond, sorry, if you play the deck right, and a really like pro player who masters this deck and has the consistency and plays a lot can, I think, still reach Diamond 1, but I think here in the Platinum category, upper Platinum category, this is the right space. Then we have Flu Wanderise, which I want to show you against Tearlaments when I have my second account ranked up to, I think, at least Diamond. Funny thing about Flandreese is it's like in the TCG and OCG, though more in the TCG, this was one of the like directest counter, like the most direct counter to Tearlaments that there was, and I think there also is here in Master Duel. I already talked about this in another video. This deck is basically prepared and super ready to play without the graveyard. It can play under Shifter. It always plays Shifter in this deck, even if you do not play against Tearlaments. The Shifter is like normally included in the main deck, and then you can easily include something like Dimensional Fissure. This deck does not need his graveyard at all. Only problem being is if you go second, then this deck can really struggle, but you can play triple evenly matched against this or for this problem, and I think this is one of the Diamond 1 decks. This is one of the strongest, or maybe, no, it is the strongest direct counter to Tearlaments, as this does not need you to put in a lot of extra cards that you wouldn't normally put in, like in Sword Soul, where your Tenny package really does need the graveyard. In this deck, nothing needs the graveyard. It just don't. So one of the strongest decks, super cheap deck. As long as Tearlaments is around, this is one of the best decks. Even after that, is still a good deck. Try it out for yourself. Maybe play it on Dueling Nexus to check out if you like the playstyle. And yeah, you cannot go wrong with Flandreese in the current meta. Then we have a Dark Magician. I think this is a Platinum deck, especially with the new support that it got. Really strong, really Platinum worthy, somewhere around the middle. Sure, you can reach Diamond with this, no questions asked. We have Dinos, which is super inconsistent, but you will for sure reach Platinum with this. Then after that, it becomes a bit tricky. Maybe you reach Diamond, but in Diamond you will not perform well. So this is the right place for the deck. Then we have Drytron, which is a strong deck, but also suffers from all the shuffle back and the DD Crows and stuff like that. I will put it somewhere here in upper Platinum. You can reach Diamond for sure. A good player can reach Diamond 1 if he hustles through. But for the average player, I would put it somewhere around top of Platinum. Then we have where's the other one? The Endymion strategy and basic Pendulum strategy. I think both of them are somewhere here in the middle of Platinum. Of course, if you have a full functioning Endymion or Pendulum deck, you will sooner or later be through Diamond and through Silver and Gold into Platinum, and you can hover around somewhere here in the middle, because in the Platinum 2 to 1 area, it is where the Tearlament deck starts to come in, and you will struggle a bit against them. So I think this is the right place. Thunder Dragon, also a Platinum deck. You can reach Platinum with this. After that, you can actually play the Ishizu cards in here, so I think that is what is saving this deck from being worse. I think it's a middle of the pack Platinum deck. Good players can reach Diamond, good players can possibly reach Diamond 1, but that's the case for nearly every deck here. Not all of the decks, like the decks on the bottom here. Like, for example, the Norska deck. Like, there's just things that this deck cannot do, even if you are a pro, right? So a lot of these decks that are ranked here, a really good player, a pro player, can reach Diamond 1 with them, but I am talking about the average player, which all of us are, basically. So then we have the Tri-Brigade stuff. The pure Tri-Brigade stuff I would rank somewhere around here in the middle of the Platinum pack, and when we are talking about the Sprite Tri-Brigade variant, I would say this is somewhere around here, low Diamond, upper platinum. So this is for like Sprite, Tri-Brigade, and more in the middle for the regular version. Live Twin as well, if you are talking pure Live Twin, I would say it's around the bottom. If we talk Sprite Live Twin, I would say it's somewhere around here. I would say the pure Sprite deck is better right now. You could argue about that, but I think it's somewhere around the upper echelon of Diamond. So it depends on which version we are talking about. I am pretending we are talking about the Sprite version, which would be here. The other version would be around here. And then we have Sky Striker. This is a fine deck. I would say middle of plat is the right spot for it. It's not a bad deck. It's not the best deck in the room. And it also really suffers from the shufflers. If they shuffle back your spells, then your other spells become significantly weaker. If they shuffle back your Kagari, that's really bad. So you can reach platinum, but here in the middle point of platinum, which would be somewhere around plat 3 or something, you will start to get some problems. And let's just rearrange this a bit. I think this can stay as is. This also, maybe I would put this here, maybe I would put this like this. Not sure if I would switch this. This I think is right. This works. I think this looks okay for me. This being the Sprite version, this is fine. I talked about this because they have the banish thing. Let's get this a bit further down, this a bit more up. This is good in the middle, and then we come to the bottom decks. This also looks fine. Yeah, this looks fine. This is the list for now, and as I already said, I think the format is quite cool, but that's just me, and I like the combo decks. I like the tough decks, the hard decks, the think about every turn you do decks. And if you're more of a combo deck player, you're maybe asking yourself, oh, when does this matter end? If you're a combo deck player, maybe play your Math Mech. I will release a Math Mech full complete guide in a few days, so you can go to that resource and learn the deck. Yeah, that's the tier list for now. Thanks for being here. I hope we see each other in the next one. Consider to subscribe. This is a hard word. Consider to subscribe, because this supports the channel a lot. Also, thumbs up helps me. Other than that, I hope you have a great day, and we will see each other in the next one.